Welcome everyone. So today we're going to solve a very tricky question. Okay, literally very few, only a handful of people could figure this out. Okay, now please understand your LHS has what? X upon x plus 11 and then it is raised to x plus 11. Okay, so very important thing is that it is raised to the denominator. The denominator and the index is same. This is the only thing which you can figure out from your LHS. Now, unfortunately, in your RHS, you can't figure out anything because it's just a fraction which is 1 upon 2048. And we cannot literally sit and, do the division and everything because that's never going to work for this particular type of question. Now, I'll give you all a hint. 2048, okay? 2048 is actually a power of 2. Okay, you all can take this hint and try solving this. Put a pause to this video. If you can figure out, then well and good. If you can't, then you can see how am I doing this. Okay, so here I can say that 2048 is nothing but what? It is just 2 raised to 11. So now understand, I can write 1 upon 2048 as nothing but what? 1 upon 2 raised to 11. And this 1 can also be written as what? 1 raised to 11. Right? Now remember that law of indices says what? Whenever you have a fraction which is raised to a same index, you can actually write the entire fraction in such a way that it is the whole raised to the same index. So okay, so using the same logic, I can write this as nothing but what? 1 upon 2 the whole raised to 11. Okay, so now I can, instead of 1 upon 2048, I can write this as nothing but what? 1 upon 2 the whole raised to 11. Okay, so this till here I hope you all must have figured out how to do this. Now after this, it's like a very important step. Okay, now I'll explain you what happens. See, I can multiply, I can multiply, you know, this 1 upon 2 with any number. Okay, let me write this in a proper format. So I can write this is nothing but what? 1 upon 2, and I can multiply with a fraction in such a way that 1 upon 2 remains 1 upon 2. Okay, and this is still raised to 11. So here I can multiply by 11, right? Till here I'm sure everybody would have figured out. Okay, why am I doing this? Because see, I need to make sure that this somewhere down the line this entire fraction comes into picture. Okay, so now here instead of just multiplying by 11, I'll multiply by what? Negative 11. Okay, so what happens here you get is negative 11 upon negative 22. Okay, and this is still raised to 11. Now remember, whenever you have a fraction raised to a power, okay, and you want to flip it, you can do this very easily. Just make sure that the sign changes to negative. So the sign of the index becomes negative or the opposite sign. So if it was negative n, then it would have become plus n. Okay, but since here it was plus n, here it will become negative n. Now you all must be wondering why. Remember, the basic rule of your entire sum is that you want your denominator and your numerator to look, your denominator and the index to look the same. So now after applying this, what will happen is that you will have minus 22 on top. Then you have minus 11 on the bottom, and your index, which is plus 11, now shifts to negative 11. So here till here I'm sure you all must have figured out, you all must have understood that what am I doing. Okay, now what happens is, see, here you want your denominator to be in the form of what? X plus 11. Means you want your negative 11 to look like something, some value plus 11. So now what will happen in that case is, you instead of instead of this blank, we can write minus 22. So see, now when I do minus 22 plus 11, I will get a negative 11, right? So now here what happens is that this minus 22 will remain as it is, and this will now look like minus 22 plus 11, the whole raised to minus 11 will again be written in this format, okay, which is minus 22 plus 11. Right? So I hope you all have understood that what did I do over here. For those, let me just explain this one more time. If you all have understood, you can please go ahead and skip this part of the video. But in case you all have not understood, I'll explain this one more time. Okay. So this is what it was, and we were stuck with what? Minus 22 upon minus 11 the whole raised to minus 11. So this has got something similar, but your still you want your denominator to look like what? X plus 11. So your challenge was to convert this negative 11 in terms of what? Something plus 11. So what this something should be? If I do minus 22, I will get minus 11, right? Minus 22 plus 11 will get you minus 11, and that is what I wanted. So now what happened was minus 22, your numerator stays as it is. And instead of minus 11, you are writing minus 22 plus 11. Okay. I hope this is very, very clear to everyone, because this is the only step where people got stuck. Okay. Or after this also they do not understand what to do. Okay. These are one of those steps, one of those sums where you literally need a lot of guidance. Okay. Now again, negative 11. So again, this is same. So instead of negative 11, we are using minus 22 plus 11. Okay. So I hope you all have understood what am I doing till here. Now, if you see, there is a big, big correlation. Why? Because still this is equal to x upon x plus 11, and this is raised to x plus 11. Now, if you look closely, here also there is a plus 11, here also there is a plus 11, here also there is a plus 11, here also there is a plus 11. Okay, and nowhere in your question they had mentioned that x is a positive number. Okay, so in that case what happens is value, now after correlation I can say therefore value of x is nothing but what? Minus 22. Okay, now let's try and write this over here. So we have what? Minus 22 upon minus 22 plus 11. Okay, and this becomes minus 22. Sorry, instead of doing all of this, let's just solve this further. We'll see whether we were getting this particular value, this particular 1 upon 2048, sorry, my bad, 1 upon 2048 value if we are getting. Okay, so let's try and figure out whether what we did is correct or not. Okay, so this now comes out to be minus 22, and again minus 22 plus 11 is nothing but just what? Minus 11. Okay, so minus 22 upon minus 11 the whole raised to minus 11. So this then comes out to be this, and this becomes cancelled. This negative and negative cancels. You'll get 2 raised to minus 11. And like I said, that if you want to get rid of the negative sign, we'll write this in terms of what? This particular number in terms of its reciprocal, which is 1 upon 2 the whole raised to 11. Okay. Now, as we all know that 1 upon 2 the whole raised to 11 can also be written as just 1. 1 raised to any number is just 1, and 2 raised to 11 is nothing but 2048. And that, my dear friends, was the part of your question. Okay, so I hope you all have understood how to solve this particular question. That's it for today. I will see you in the next video.